Hi everyone, this is Bruno Aziza and welcome to another episode of Data Journeys. This is where we come to learn from leaders in the data analytics space, leaders that have achieved amazing growth, amazing results, and they share with us their do's and don'ts as well as their story. So today I have the pleasure of talking with Michael Ames, who's Senior Director of Healthcare and Life Science at SADA. Now, SADA is a partner of Google, but before that, Michael was a customer of Google for many years. And so I want to start with that. Michael, give us a little bit of the rundown on your experience and your exposure to Google services before we start talking about what you guys do at SADA.
About 2015, I was introduced to Google Cloud via a colleague who called me up one day and said, hey, we're going down to the steakhouse. There's going to be free food, and we're going to learn about Google Cloud and how it can help with all of our data problems. And this was a wonderful friend and a brilliant technologist, but I knew sometimes she could get kind of excited about the new shiny thing. I literally went with her so that I could educate myself, so that I could talk her out of it, because I was sure that this whole Google Cloud thing was just going to be a big mistake. We went down. We had a great experience that night learning all about Google BigQuery, and I was in the middle of a massive data warehousing project myself that was having all kinds of problems, and came away from there just sort of mind blown, just shocked and excited. I was heading up work for the Colorado Center for Personalized Medicine at the University of Colorado here on the Anschutz Medical Campus, and I saw a path where this could help to really transform a lot of the things that we were doing, lift a lot of the roadblocks that we were facing. And over the next 4 years, we took that, my team made a massive pivot, and we did some really great work with it. Now, about 1.5 years ago, I left CU to come to SADA, which is a Google Cloud partner, really with the goal of helping other organizations figure out how to replicate the success that we had there at CU.
So we'll talk about your experience at CU. I want to talk a little bit about SADA because you're exposed to many other companies that have the same problems that you used to have as a customer. What are some of the top use cases that you see in healthcare as you work with these customers?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they fall into a couple of categories. We work with some of the nation's biggest hospital systems, as well as pharmaceutical and medical device companies, basic science research organizations. And every organization has what I consider sort of the standard fare of IT challenges, the need to get infrastructure out of their on-prem data centers up into the cloud. And we help them with that. And in a lot of ways, doing that in healthcare looks like it does in any other industry, with maybe the added stress and anxiety of HIPAA compliance. And even that is less about how do we achieve HIPAA compliance, but how do we get people who run those organizations to just feel comfortable with moving their systems to the cloud. Where things are really exciting and where we see a lot of motion and energy is around the data, which I hope we get to talk about a lot. The hospital systems of the country are sitting on massive troves of data that's crucial for making good patient diagnoses and prescribing decisions, as well as incredibly valuable insights to help them run their businesses better, learn how to save money, maximize profits so that they can reinvest into care for their community. And we work hard within SADA to help organizations understand how they can unlock the sort of pent-up value of that data.
So let's talk a little bit about prediction. I mean, I know that now with more data, we can predict more accurately. What are you finding is going on in the market and where better data analytics is helping patients more specifically?
There's a scenario that we look at that we're really concerned about that was first covered about 5 years ago in the journal Nature. And what they did is they took the top 10 biggest drugs by revenue in the United States. And they analyzed folks to whom those drugs had been prescribed to find out, did the drug achieve its intended health purpose with that person? And the results were staggering in the negative. In that best case scenario, you might see 1 in 4 people who receive the drug actually then benefit in the way that the doctor intended to when the drug was prescribed. In some cases, it might be 1 in 25 people. And these are the nation's most expensive drugs. So we have a big problem here, which is ultimately a prediction problem, which is matching the right drug to a patient who's actually going to benefit from that. In the intersection of the chemistry of the drug and the chemistry of the person, that thing is going to either work or not. And if it doesn't, not only have we wasted time and money, we may be causing side effects and actually doing more harm than good to that patient. So this is a big problem, and the answer to it really is in this data and in building predictive models that can help doctors and other healthcare providers make the right decision at the right time for the right patient. It used to be 5 to 10 data elements that a typical healthcare provider had at their disposal to make a decision about a drug. Now we're talking thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of data points by the time we bring in a person's genomic profile and everything we know about their molecular biology. There's no way that a doctor on their own can look at all that and have any sense of what to do with it. And so what we see now is a big push in the personalized medicine space to help assimilate that data in a way that we can build predictions and then put those in front of the doctors at the point of care to help them to make the right prescribing decisions at that moment. And that's just like one slice. Take that idea of prescribing drugs and expand that across physical therapy treatments, behavioral therapy treatments, decisions that we make about where and how people should live, whether we should build a park in a certain neighborhood, how the air quality is affecting health. And you can start to get a sense of the need to bring data together in a way that will help us, truly refine and be much more powerful in the way that we're treating the health of people.
That's really quite incredible. And the work that you do actually does save lives. So it's really, you've got a huge impact on helping all of us. As you've learned working through these customers, you've accumulated great learning on the do's and the don'ts. So I want to drill into that. Let's start with what you think people listening to us here, what do you think would be the first thing they should go out and do as they get ready to increase the accuracy of their prediction, work with more data, whatever you have in order to modernize your environment to take on the challenge of more data for more people?
The single biggest, most important thing, and honestly, the reason that I fell in love, it was not too strong of words, fell in love with the Google Cloud platform for data analytics is to take advantage of the high-level platform as a service, software as a service capabilities wherever you can. And the reason for that is even if you have to give up a little bit of capability and control, let's say you're using a tool like BigQuery, you're going to load data in, you're going to query data out. There are a few things you can do inside there to optimize performance, but not much, right? Even if you give up a little bit of control, what you get back in terms of the resources to actually go in and do the right things with that data is going to bring far more value to your organization. Just think about it. If you've got the ability to hire one more FTE for your organization, would you rather that be someone who is analyzing the data to unlock new business value or new opportunities to improve patient health? Or would you rather it be another DBA whose job is just to keep the server from crashing, right?
It's the challenge between operations and innovation, the ability to get insights faster. So that's the best practice I'm taking away, considering modern technologies, serverless platforms, so you have more time on your hands to focus on innovation and remove the operational aspect of your job. What about the contrary of that? What is the mistake that everybody listening to us might make, and you are going to save them some time today by just telling them, avoid to do X or avoid to do Y?
It's the fear of the something known, right? It's but all of the work I've done in the past has always been on an open source MySQL database and custom coding my own orchestration engine and building our own visualizations from scratch in whatever my favorite analytics package du jour is. A lot of times I think we're just afraid and we get stuck in the old rabbit holes and we think that what we're doing is best when really what we're doing is familiar. Right. And reaching out of that, right, can sometimes be really, really hard.
What about the fear of, or maybe the assumptions you make of getting data out of systems? How should people think about this data movement, getting data in, getting data out? What have you learned from that?
This is a problem that has tripped me up hard a couple of times. And it's easy to, because once you get into this cloud world, it's really exciting to talk about extensibility and ease of use and availability and don't worry about bottlenecks, because if you need more room on the highway, we can add more lanes and subtract them super, super easy. You've got to remember that you don't get to take advantage of those things until you have freed the data from the on-premises systems in the first place. And I wish that this was a do not that ended with a here's your easy solution, but there's not. So the warning here is to not underestimate how difficult it can be to get the data out of those source systems in the first place so that you can get them into this free and happy land up on Google Cloud. In healthcare, you can easily have records in some electronic medical record systems with 1 billion rows or more. And if those are sitting on some SQL Server cluster in some data center across town and are already maxed out with the operational and reporting responsibilities of those servers, and then you come in thinking you're just going to plug in, pop that stuff to the cloud, you're probably going to be disappointed, and you're going to need to lean on the resources of the people who manage those systems. And a lot of old tried and true technologies and approaches for figuring out how you parallelize those extracts and building incremental extracts and getting that data out in a place where once you can get it to the cloud, it's much, much freer. It's a happy light at the end of the tunnel, but it can be a long and painful tunnel. Plan for that to be hard. Make sure that you've got the right resources aligned to help you do it.
That's a great one to end on. So that's a big one to remember. Don't underestimate the work required in order to move the data in and out of your systems, and make sure you've got the right folks on your team that are ready to help you with that. We also learned about focusing on innovation and picking the right platforms in order to free your time for your imagination rather than be stuck in the operational world. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I could stay here and talk to you for hours, and I want to thank you for all you do for our community. If you're here listening to us in the community, make sure that you click down below on the links here for more stories just like Michael's story. Again, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.